Hello and welcome to my channel Making Crafts. Today I'm going to be making a folio journal and I'm going to be using the kit from In Everything Give Thanks by LineDotArrow and RachandBella Crafts, and this is a collaboration between the two ladies, and so I will link below to both of her shops so you can get both kits. And I'm just going to do a quick flip through before we move on to the actual folio journal. So this is a very large kit. I have both kits, the one from LineDotArrow as well as the one from RachandBella Crafts, and there's a lot of sheets in this kit, and both of their kits work together. It's a collaboration between the two of them, and it's a fall Thanksgiving type kit. Oops, I got it upside down. It's got lots of pages and pockets and different ephemera pieces. So I got a lot of these. I got them different directions on them, and so I've kind of mixed up the kit. So you can go to their shops though to see what each kit has. But this is both kits together, and they're really beautiful. There's just such a good variety in this, and there's so many little fussy cuts and tags and things. You could make a really large journal with this one. But since I've been making so many journals lately, I wanted to take a little break from making a large project, and I love this sheet, and make a little folio. And look at these cards to go in it. There's so many things. And so some of this I did print on cardstock, and then some I just printed on 32-pound premium HP paper. And then some of it I actually accidentally printed on copy paper, so I do have it in here. But see, there's so many things to go with this kit. So that is a pretty long flip through, but that's a bunch of pages there. And I never counted the pages, so I'm not really sure how many it is. But I just wanted to show you these pages before we get started on the folio. So for this folio, I'm going to be using 3 envelopes, and this is the envelopes that I'll be using, and I ordered these off Amazon several years ago. Now this folio was inspired by the YouTube channel Tatty Treasure, but my envelopes are so different, everything, I'm going to have to make mine quite different. But she did inspire me to create this, and hers was beautiful, so I'm hoping mine will turn out just as pretty. And she used a different set of papers as well, but just seeing her video inspired me to try this. So I'm going to be using, for the cover and inside, these are the sheets that I've chosen. Let me pull this aside. I have gone ahead and prepped a lot of things for this so that I'll be ready to go. I went ahead and inked a lot of things. So for my envelope, mine are different because they don't come to point. It's kind of a square one, but I think you could do about the same for this. But I'm going to attach these two together, I'm just going to take the flap from my second envelope and just slide it into my first envelope. So I'm just testing it here. And so I'll just glue that in, and I have a small little spot to glue on that. So if you have the pointed envelopes, you'll have a lot further to glue. And I'm just looking here. I still need to be able to get into my envelope so I may want to glue the other side. So I'm just going to glue. So yes, I'm going to glue on the back side of the envelope here. Well, actually the side you would see on the outside of your envelope. So I'm just going to add some glue. If I can get mine to come out good, and I'm having trouble even. There we go. It's getting low. Get it going good. There we go. Okay, I want it glued pretty good, but at the same time, I have a small section that can be glued in. Actually, I can cover the whole thing. I don't know what I was thinking. It's going to be one of those days. So since I'm going to glue the back side like this, you can just cover the whole thing. I was thinking about gluing it in the other way. I'm already getting messy. So I'm just putting the glue up to, we want to take the glue off that one for now. We don't want to glue it shut. So I'm just going to add the glue up to the edge here and just line my envelopes up. I did get quite messy with that. So just going to line them up, and then I'm just going to press down. Let me see if I can find my foam folder. Just going to press it down really good so that it's good and tight. And you do want to make sure you line your envelopes up so that everything kind of lines up. The corners here line up together. Just press down. Okay, so now for the next envelope, we are going to attach it like this. So I'm just going to take the envelope, and I want to leave this flap pointing up like this, and I want to attach it to the flap on the other. And that'll be the flap on the first envelope. So the flap of the second went inside the first one, and then the flap of the first one is still loose, and we're going to take and attach our third envelope to it. So I just want to add a bunch of glue to it. Oops. It's going to be a messy day for me. Some days are like that. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up. I'm going to leave just a little gap so that it opens and closes just fine. Because we're going to be covering all this up anyway, so it's not going to be that big a deal to have that gap there. And I do want to fold everything up and make sure everything lines up nicely. Make sure none of the envelopes are sticking out. Everything looks good, so I'm just going to press that down really good. So it's kind of like we're making a little book here. So our little journal is going to go on this side, but we're going to put a lot of pockets and things in this folio. So we have that, and then this will be our flap that closes it up. Since I am going to put a journal in it, my flap's going to be further down. So I want to go ahead and put some score lines in that. I think I will score, let's see, let's put it here so I can count my fractions up okay. So this would be a 1/2 inch. I think that a 1/4 inch score would probably be all I need. So let's just do that. I think that will work better. So just lightly scoring, because most envelopes are very weak. This one is craft, so it's not as weak as some. Just be very careful when you're scoring them. And then I'm just going to fold on that score line if I can. See it here. I don't want to, where I did it so lightly, got to be careful. Okay, so then it's going to fold over. So see, does that make sense? So now you're just making room for your little journal to go inside. So now I have these little bitty magnets that you can get from, I got mine from Amazon, but I'm pretty sure craft stores would have them. And they're really thin, and they're for paper crafting so that they don't show up through your paper. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add them to our pocket and our flaps. So what I'm going to do is pull this flap over and just see where it's kind of landing and kind of get an idea for my finger here. I'm going to hold it. So about 1 inch in is what I want to do. So I'm just going to take this magnet and put a little bit of glue on it. And then I'm going to put it about 1 inch in from, it came with a little sticky on it, but when I pulled it apart, the sticky's gone. So I'm just going to eyeball about it, put my thumb here and eyeball about 1 inch where I'm going to attach it. So it's about 1 inch in there. So then I just hold it there for just a second. And I will go back and tape over it too. I like to tape over and make it stronger, but just in case it has to move. And so then I'm going to take this magnet that came with it, the second one, and I'm just going to put it right on top there. Then I'm just going to add a little Fabri-Tac to it. It does have some sticky left on it, but I just don't trust the sticky on just the magnet, so I like to add a little bit of glue to it. So I'm just going to add this Fabri-Tac and just smear it around there, and then I can just push my flap. Now remember your flap, you don't want to make your flap flat. You want to be sure that you've got it raised up like this so that you'll have room for your journal. And then just lay your flap down and press your magnet. And it's going to have to glue shut. It's going to have to glue, the glue's going to have to be dry before it won't come loose. So what you can do is take your fingernail down in there and separate it out. So here we go. And have it in the right spot there. That way, yeah, that's right. I wanted to check it, but then I can go back and make sure it stays. So just put your fingernail underneath it and press. And remember, we're going to cover all this up, so it's okay if you got a little glue there and stuff. It's going to be covered up with paper. So I'm just going to take a piece of washi and just put over top of it, just to hold it down while it's drying so I can continue to work on my project as well. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one in here, because I don't know if I were to move things around if it could cause the magnet to move. So, especially since I use a, I don't know if stainless goes to these or not. No, it doesn't. I just thought anything metal like my scissors and stuff might. But I'm just going to put some washi tape over top of this one in here as well so it doesn't move. There we go. And press that down. So that should stay in place. So there we got our closure. And so you can open and close now while you're waiting for your glue to dry. Okay, I've got a little glue right here. I'll just rub off. So next, all we have to do is start covering it. So I am going to use this one on the outside, but it's not long enough to cover the whole envelope. So what I'm going to use for my flap is this one. So I want these pumpkins to be close to the bottom, and then I'm just going to attach it. So I'm just going to trim off, I think right here. Let me see. Let me see how far this one comes over. So I just need to trim off about right there. And it has a line on the paper that I'm just using as my guide to help me get it pretty straight. Okay, so to cover this, just going to attach it like that. And I think what I'll do is I'll just cover the flap with the glue, because then I'm going to trim around it the excess that's left hanging over. And then let's just pull some glue back in here. Lots of glue for this cover. And I am just using my 32-pound premium paper from HP for this. But if you didn't have that, you could use copy paper or you could use cardstock. Oops, it just didn't line up quite right there. I want to make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom of that envelope, because I can always trim around it. Oops, trim around it if it hangs off the edge. Okay, so then I'm just going to trim around the flap there. Let's see how that looks. And I like how that looks. And we'll have to go back and put our score line in there. And let's go ahead and do that while we're thinking about it. Because since we added the paper, then we need to score it as well. So remember, we just scored it at like 1/4 inch. So we just want to press down and fold that over. There we go. So we can see that that's going to be, we're probably going to want to score right here as well, where it was originally folding from. That way we don't get any wrinkles in it when we fold it. Okay, there we go. So now we have our flap, and I think that's very pretty with the pumpkins there. And we'll ink it all in a few moments. Okay, so now all we have to do is cover our outside here. And so I'm just going to figure out where I want the paper to land. And I think just about like, pretty much like this should be fine. Kind of wanted that to be there though. So what I may do is trim it off just a little so that it doesn't overlap to the flap. Just taking a look here. I'm going to trim just a little bitty bit off. And so you will have to, I can't give you measurements if you're going to be using different envelopes, because you could do this with any size, but just, you can do the same process and figure out, especially if your paper, my paper prints with a border, so my paper size is a little different, but I just want this leaf to be up in the corner here, so I'm just going to make sure that that is where it's at. So let's just see. So I'm just going to add glue to my cover now, and I think that'll all work out just fine. So let's just add some glue to the cover. And I'm just going to cover the whole thing with glue. Okay, Okay, so it's glued pretty good. So now I'm just going to line up this leaf in the upper corner. And then just line it all the way across here, making sure that I cover my envelope all the way. Covering, and I can go back and trim a little off. So let's see, you can see here I got it a little crooked. So let's just go back to this corner here. Put it there. Might be easier to do from this side because you can actually see it. That looks good. I love these papers. They are so pretty. Fall colors are my colors. I love fall colors. And let's see here. Got just a little hanging over right here, so we'll just trim that off. Okay. So that's looking good. So that's where we're at so far. And so see our little flap is already working. The magnet is. Let's see if it's dry now. I'm going to take this off if it is. Let's see. Yes, it is. So now it's time to start working on the inside. And I want to measure how tall the inside is. It looks to be about 7, a little over 7 1/4. So I'm just going to have to lay my paper. So this is one I've chose to use on the inside. So what I'm going to do is just lay it onto the envelope and just mark where I need to cut it. So let's just lay it here straight. And then make sure it's going to cover up the whole inside. So this is the first 2 flaps, and then we'll cover this side later. But let's just work on this one. And I need it to be right here. Okay, so now for this one, I'm going to cover up this envelope, but not this one. I'm going to leave this one as a pocket, so it's going to slide into that one. So I've got to make sure I cut it down. That's why I'm not going to glue it and just trim it. I'm going to cut it down so that it can slide into the pocket. So let me see if I can get it on here straight. Get this correct. I'll save that little strip. I love to collage with those strips at the end of my journals when I finish up one or finish up a project. Let's see. Is that going to be large enough to slide into there? I mean, small enough to slide in. I may have to cut just a little slither off again. And so like for yours, I can't give you a measurement since yours is going to be maybe different. And so you're just going to have to work with it like this. But this is a quick and easy little project. You don't really have to do measuring as much as just, you know, trying to put it on the envelope and see how it goes. And if this is too much measuring for you and it's too frustrating, then, you know, for some beginners it's harder for. And if it is, then just cover up both pockets and make it, you know, you could just cover both up and have pockets, make your own pockets on top of it. So let's see if I can get that to slide in and see. I just want to make sure it's going to fit before I add glue to it. Just want to do a dry fit first. And it is going to be very hard to get it in when it's wet with glue. I can already tell that. And I want it to go, how far is it going to go? And will I be able to get that in there like that? We shall see. We shall see. And so it's just not going to cover. I'm afraid it's not going to cover my envelope right there. So let me see if I can pull it out just a little. There we go. That's very pretty. I think that will be fine like that. And then I'll just trim this extra off. So let's just add some glue to the back side here. We don't want it bubbling up. So this is just going to be hard to put in. So what I'm going to do is add glue to just the part that's going inside the envelope, because then I can raise it up and add more glue to the envelope part. That'll make sense in a second. To the other envelope, the first envelope. I guess that's how I should say it. So for the second envelope where this is going to slide in, I'm just adding enough glue to slide it in. So that way I'm not dealing with a whole, a whole big sheet covered in glue, because it's going to be hard to get it in and not smear glue everywhere, because you have to line it up just right. And honestly, I'm going to, anyway, when I go to, I think I'm going to trim these off anyway, because when this is a pocket, if I don't, this is going to be brown sticking out. So I'm just going to trim that off on mine. So if yours has that, you could trim it off to make it easier covering it. Okay, so I'm just going to get that off now though, so I don't have to worry about it. That way it is just a pocket there, and these aren't in the way. See if I can figure out how I'm going to trim it with. I don't want to cut too much off. There we go. So there we go, just those little pieces I've trimmed off. So it's just this little extra piece here. So now let's just put this glue in here. So now it's easier just to slide in too, since I was going to remove those anyway. Okay. It'll all make sense once we get it all covered. Well, come on now. Got to go in there. Okay. Don't want it to start drying before we get it in. So this is probably the hardest part of this whole project. It's just getting it in the pocket and lined up correctly. So there we go. That's perfect. Make sure I got it far enough down. It is far enough down, so just press it down now. And then we're just going to raise it up and add glue and the rest. I'm just adding glue underneath here. Over the whole envelope. And that will make it so much easier to put this down. Because if we'd have had glue all over it, we'd have been covered in glue. I'm having a hard time getting all my glue out, so I'm just going back over it with some more glue. Okay. So now we just want this to line up on the envelope. Just press that down. There we go. So that is looking pretty. It's looking very pretty. So let's just reach in here. I'm just going to press down in here with my bone folder and then just smooth across so we get everything attached really tight. And then we're just going to trim off the edge here. There, just fold it in. We have our little folio. And then I got to decide, do I want to round these corners on it or not? I just got to work with my bone folder with it too to get everything lined up. Okay, so now the next thing is to cover this. So I think I'm trying to decide what piece I want to use to cover that. I'm thinking this music sheet piece would be pretty quick. These are lots of fall colors in this, so very colorful sheets. But I love the fall colors. Let me mark it now to see how far, where I need to cut. Now, where did I do with that ink pen? Here it is. So I'm just going to mark here. That's not it. That one's not even started yet. There we go. So just going to line it up, and I'm going to mark here, and then how far over, just going to mark right here on the edge of the envelope. There we go. I don't know if that mark's going to show up good enough for me to be able to see it, so let me try a different color. It's just marking on the edge here. Okay, So now we're just going to trim it down. I'm just going to add that right there. So I think that'll be just fine. This one I might need to add just a little bit more here. Okay. And I like how that all looks together, so that's good. My gluing lines are not straight today. I am using a lot of glue. I want to make sure that this stays down. Okay. So now let's just line that up. I'm going to line it up with this edge as well. Make sure everything's lining up. Oops, I put that down too soon. If any hangs over, I can trim it off. So I'm just trying to get it to the edge of the pocket. I'm just pressing down. And where I trimmed the pocket, there's a little brown showing there, and I am going to trim that as well. So I'm just going to trim just a little right there. If I can get down in there. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's see if there's any on this side showing. No, it's perfect. So that was perfect. So then I'm just going to use my circle punch here, and we're just going to punch out a little divot in here so it makes it so you can tell it's a pocket. And let's see. That's good. And I want to go ahead and ink it so you can kind of see how it's all coming together. The inking will help the pocket, I think, to stand out. Okay, so look, I think that looks really good once you get it inked up. Everything looks so neat. So I'm just highlighting the edges here. It helps it all not to blend in together, I think. So you can see how you can see, I don't know if on camera you can see, but you can actually see the pocket there a lot better now. And I will go through, let's finish making it, and then I'll go through and ink the rest. I just want you to kind of see how the pocket's going to stand out. Okay, so now we're going to work on the next section, and I've chose a busy paper for the inside, but I really like it, and I think it's going to be okay, even though it's busy. So I'm going to use it, but first I want to fill in this flap. And so I want to have this part of it sticking out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it about here. Or let me see, I need to trim it down. Let's just trim it down, and then I can decide how long I want it. So I need to trim it down to the height. We just need to figure the height of the envelope, and then we can trim off the excess that's sticking out later. So the height, just trim it down just a little to fit inside that pocket, because I am going to make that a pocket now of that envelope. It's still going to be another pocket, because I like to have lots of pockets, because you may want to, if you're keeping this as your Thanksgiving or November fall journal, then you might want to keep some memorabilia in there, tickets and different things of places you've been or things you've done. Let's see, here's that going to fit. It needs just a little bit more off. Okay, and then I want this in, so I'm just going to trim it down to about here. Okay. So now let's just see if it will slide into this pocket. If not, we'll have to trim it down just a little bit more. We want to get it down into this pocket. There we go. See how far it's going to go down in there. I want it all the way in so that this is on the flap here. I like that. I think that's going to look good with this paper right here. So I do like that. So what we're going to do is I'm trimming this off again before I add the glue and slide it in. So I'm just going to trim off these little edges of my envelope. Trying to get it straight. Okay. Just trim off right here. And it will depend on your envelope and the shape that you have as to if you need to trim these off. You could leave them on. It's just going to look brown, and I just didn't want that brown in there. Or I could fussy around with it and try to, you know, cover it. But I'd rather make this an easy project that I don't have to do a lot of measuring. So that's why I am just doing it this way. Okay. So we're just going to stick this in the pocket first. And then we'll be covering it. It won't look like this. It kind of is ugly without the paper on it once you cut those little pieces off. But I think it's because for your eyes, you know, your eyes expect it to have those pieces. I don't know. But for me, it's not as pretty, but it'll be fixed. So don't worry about it. It's going to be pretty when we get done. So that all looks like it fits nicely. So I'm just going to add some glue to it. I'm just going to add glue to the whole thing this time. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem since it's so small. Don't think it will be. Okay. Just going to slide that in there. And we're going to smear glue around trying to do it, but that's okay. Just so we can get it in there before the glue dries and it takes hold. That's the only problem, is it wants to take hold as soon as it gets in there. So let me see if I can hold this up and get that down in there before it tries to grab hold. Okay, there we go. So just leaving a gap so that with my hand here so that the glue doesn't attach on its way in. There we go. I am getting glue on my hands somewhat, but that's okay. Okay, I think that's as far in as it's going to go. Okay, so I just want to get it lined up on the outside here now. Actually, I want it just a little bit further in. This is making these pockets is probably the most fussy part of it. It's covering them. Okay, so there we go. We've got it. That wasn't too bad. So now I'm just going to press that in. And if that's the hardest part, that's not bad at all. And so we're just going to trim off the edge here. Just like we did when we did the other side. Then I'm just going to go around the corners. Let's give that a moment to dry before we do fold it, because it will wrinkle up if it's not dry. Okay, so now let's just cover this part. And that's where this comes in. And so I really don't have to cut it down or anything because I'm just going to trim around it. As long as the edge here is lining up okay, then I'm okay with it. Then I can just trim it off on the edge over here. So I'm just going to add some glue. I've got to get another bottle of glue out. This one is about gone. Okay, so I've got my glue bottle put together here. I had to switch brands of glue. This is art glitter glue. And as you can see, when I opened my bottle, there was a hot mess when I tried to use it. So I've got a smaller bottle here with a smaller tip, and we're just going to now cover this envelope with glue, and hopefully that gob of glue that came out is not going to hurt it. This is the first project I've made with the art glitter glue, but I've heard it's really good. But you can't get any more of that Barely art glue. I can't get refills of it, so I'm trying to switch over to this one because you can still get the refills of the art glitter glue. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up with a pocket, figure out where we want everything to land. Okay, so that's good. I'm just going to press down, and hopefully none of those glue issues cause a problem with it. I don't think it will. I think this will be fine now. Yeah, it's doing good. It's taking hold good. That's good. Didn't think it should hurt it, but I was a little concerned. Okay, that's good. I'm not going to fold it yet because it is still wet. And so now I just want to trim around the edges. There we go. That's looking good. Need to trim here. There we go. And there we go. That looks really good. I like that. It's very busy, but I like it. So right now, let's go ahead and fold our score lines on our lap. Since we were letting that dry, it should be good enough now to fold. There we go. And I was checking to make sure the magnet was there because with the cover of the paper, the magnet felt like it was gone. So for the pocket, we want to do the same things we did on the other side. We just want to punch a half circle out, just trying to eyeball it in the center. And then I'm just going to punch out a little bit. And there we go. And then we'll ink that so it'll stand out as well. Okay, so here I think it's dry enough now. I can just fold it back. We have that flap. And here we go. So this is a very busy little book with all its different colors, but I'm really loving it. Fall colors, like I said before, mine, and I like how that came together. Okay, so I've gone ahead and inked all around it, and I think that looks really good, and you can see the pocket standing out here, and I've just inked it with the chocolate chip. So now let's go ahead and start adding some pockets to it. On this side, I'm thinking this might be good too. We've had this, let me ink that again, because I inked a lot of this with soft suede, but I think the chocolate chip is going better with these papers, so I'm going to go back and just ink it a little darker so it blends with everything else. So I'm thinking, what about some stacked pockets here, or layered? I'm not really sure. I'm just going to be putting 2 pockets on this page and layering them up. So there's a lot of tags and things that come in this kit, so you have plenty to stick in the pockets. So there's my fold line. So I could do them kind of like this. So I think that would be cute there. Maybe pull it down a little bit further so I got room to put something in this pocket right here. So I like that. Maybe a little bit further over and centered. So I like that there. So that's what I'm going to do there. So I'm just going to turn these into little pockets. So I'm going to put the top one on first. I'm just going to glue on 3 sides. And I think about in here's where we had it. Maybe down just a little. Okay. And I'm going to take my napkin here and clean off that glue. Okay, there we go. This glue dries super fast, so I'm going to have to get used to that. And then right in here, I think that's cute. And you can even journal on this pocket. This pocket's a good little spot to journal on. So I'm just going to layer it right here. There we go. Wow, that glue feels really good. It isn't going anywhere. Okay, so there, is that straight? Straight enough, isn't it? Okay, so right here, I'm going to do my little layered pockets. And I don't know if I want 2 high or 3 high, because I can do it with 3 here, but I think I'm just going to go with the 2. So let's just put those together really quickly. So we're just going to fold this over on the dotted line, press there, and then fold this one up. And I've made these in another video before where I layered these types of pockets, so it's really simple. So let's just glue that shut there and there. Then we're going to take this one and we want to fold it so that it fits inside there. So as you can see, this needs to be folded up. There we go. And we'll fold this over, and we may have to do some trimming on it, on that flap that's folding over there. So I'm just going to fold it in where the dotted line is on the back now, not the edge. And set that away. It makes it a little smaller so that it will tuck inside. Trim that excess off. There we go. And then it will just slide right down inside there, see? And we now have our little layered pocket. And I just have to decide how far up I want it to come out of the other pocket. I kind of like it like that. So I'm just going to glue it together that way. And I do have a video, and I'll try to link it in the upper corner on how to make these. If you want a more detailed video that shows you how to make these with these pockets and with paper as well, just from a kit instead of if it didn't come with the pockets. I know I went through it really fast right there. but I do have a video that shows how I do that in a slower, it takes the whole video. So it's a small video, but it also goes through the whole process slowly with you. If you'd like to know how to make them. I forgot to ink that one before I glued them together. So there we go. So we have our pocket. So now let's just add it right here. So that'll be very cute right in there. Okay, so I like how that looks there, so I'm just going to add some glue along the edge. And so I'm just going to glue this one along the bottom and the edge and the edge here. And then I'm going to glue across the bottom of this pocket. I'm just going to attach it right here. And I am paying attention to where I, clipped in for my pocket. So I'm making sure that it's far enough away from that. So I'm trying to just even it in between that and the edge of the page. So there we go. And I'll come back and put things in them because there's a lot of little things that can be put in them from the kit. And I'm just looking here to decorate it. We have a little pumpkin that we could add. And I'm trying to look and see what all we have. There's so many little things in the kit. We've got this little washi tape piece. And we have this little fruit of the spirit saying, so for scripture. I think that looks cute there, so I'm just going to add that there. And do I want any fabric behind it? Let's see. I've got a little piece I've ripped here. Let's see how that looks behind it. I may or may not want it. It may not really show up with all that we got here. I have a longer piece. Let's try the longer piece. Okay. So just, oops. Stick that here. So we'll just stick this fabric here, and then maybe this little washi tape piece, kind of like that. Maybe that right there. And the pumpkin. So I do like the fabric showing, so I'm just going to add the fabric. Okay. I'm leaving kind of the edges loose because I do want them to stick out some. Okay. And let me ink some of this real quick. I think it's already been inked. It has. There's no white edges on it, so it's been inked. So I'm just going to add this here, kind of slanting down like a little piece of washi tape. That was just in the kit. It's just a piece of paper in the kit. And I want to make sure I angle these just right so that the pumpkin doesn't cover any of the wording. So that'll be perfect like that. This one might need inking, because I think I inked it with the soft suede and not the chocolate chip. And the pumpkin I know I've inked already, so I'll just add him. Just add that there. And pumpkin right here. There we go. So what I'm thinking on this side is actually using this tag as a pocket. So like, let me find something. You could tuck, different things in it. But I'm not totally sure because there are these pockets in the kit. And so those are really neat as well. And then you have this one from the kit. That would cover up the hole there. But what about if we did it like this and we'd have two layers? I think that's what I'm going to do. So let me ink this one up. Okay, and so I want to thicken these pockets. So I'm just going to cover them, not cover them, I'm going to glue them to some scrap paper I have over here. Here is some file paper that may go. Let's see here. Let's just look what page we're putting it with. There's a file paper pad. Just going to flip through it real quick and see what jumps out at me. Kind of like this page. Let's put these on it and see. Yeah, I like that. So let me just tear out one of these pages because I've got an idea to not just back it but to frame it. So let's take and try that. I'm just going to cover this with glue. This little thing's getting in the way. This is a new little bottle I'm trying out. This is my refill bottle. Okay, so now let's just pick this up without getting glue all over myself. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, and just going to, I'm actually going to use my paper trimmer because that would make it straighter. I'm just going to have it over to the side here. I know it's not all on camera, but my counter once again is getting, my table is getting full. I'm just going to eyeball that, just a little edge around it. There we go. Then I want to trim this one off too. Just a little. Kind of straighten it up, and so it's good. And then if we have this one, that'll be good. So let's take and do the same thing to this pocket. Stick it on here. I'm going to try to eyeball my lines so I don't have to trim so much off. Trying to make it about the same as the other one. Oops. Got a little crooked there. Okay, and so now let's just trim this off. Okay, so there we go. I'm not worried about this little corner here because it's going to be attached over here, so it's not going to show that it's the corner there. So then we're just going to put these in here like this. So I'm just going to add a little glue along the bottom of this one and attach the two pockets. There we go. And then let's go ahead while it's drying and ink it before we add it to the page. The tip there. It's not really showing up that much on this color, but it's just enough. So now we got our pocket. So now we're just going to glue around three sides. Okay. Just attach it to our page. I just want to center it up, find where the line's at, and I want to center it up on the page. There we go. Oops, it slid. My goodness. There we go. Wipe that glue off. Okay, so now we have our little pockets, and so see, we can put a tag in this pocket or a tag in the back pocket. So that's going to be perfect. So I do like that. So you can do it like, I think I can just layer it. Which we've got to decorate these tags up, I do believe. Which they'd be great for journaling on. But you've got two different things like that, places to put things. And then over here, it is a pocket already. I don't know that we need to add anything over there. I'm going to stop here, and then in the next video, I will show you how I create the journal, but also add some more embellishments and how I embellish the front. I'm also going to show you how I fix an issue that I'm having with the magnet, because once I put the journal in, there is a little issue with the magnet holding the book shut, but I have a good fix for it, and I really like how the fix, the way I've added the new magnet in and fixed it. I really like how that turned out. So be sure to watch the second one before you create your folio so that you can see how I fixed that issue. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.